All right, come on. What did you do? So he plays Tech. Okay. I don't even need to say it. You guys already know my opinion on that redraw. That was a huge mistake. What's going on, guys? Zedd here, bringing you another Marvel Midnight Suns video. This one's going to be a lot of fun. It is going to sort of be a dev stream recap, and then, but more importantly, it's going to be sort of a gameplay breakdown. So in the last dev stream that happened at the time of this recording and video, so October 26th, the focus is going to be on what they dubbed as advanced combat, or I'll sort of refer to it as what the heck are you going to deal with later on in the game. And I also appreciated that they ran it at a higher difficulty. Now, on top of that, we got to see more gameplay from the likes of Nico and Ghost Rider as well. And so I thought it would be kind of fun to not. There's not much to recap. I'll be honest. It's better to just watch the stream. There's not a lot of tidbits that you know, haven't already been shown on Twitter and stuff. Yes, they confirmed the DLC and things of that nature, but this video I'm going to strictly focus on the second mission that one of the devs did. I believe Joe is his name. And unfortunately, he fails it 3 times, but I kind of want to break it down. This isn't flame against Joe or the decisions he made. I just kind of want to look at it from my perspective because somebody in the comments on one of my videos was asking me for gameplay analysis. And I was confused by that because I was like, well, all the gameplay we've seen is just the Fallen Venom fight on the normal difficulty because that's the highest difficulty that they've always had access to, they being the people who play it. So I thought, well, I don't really have much insight to add there. So this was a perfect opportunity because not only is it not only are there more cards and more mods that we're going to see here, but now we're getting sort of mid game enemies with different actions rather than just the Hydra grunts in the Venom fight. And then also on top of that, uh, the dev was playing on a higher difficulty. I believe he said it was Heroic 3, which is the third hardest difficulty. So the hardest being Ultimate 2, then Ultimate 1, then Heroic 3. So I thought, fantastic. So that's what this video is going to be about. However, there's a few things we want to break down. So I want to break down the deck that he took, why I think he maybe ran into a problem, and then let me close my Discord. Hold on. There we go. That was me, not you. Don't worry. Um, all right, and then I wanted to point something out. So during the stream, someone had asked in the chat, uh, who pairs well with Nico, and the devs said, Nico can generate a lot of heroism, or cost heroic, or make heroic cards cost 0. Who pairs well with them? And two of the names that they listed, I think they listed 3, but the two that stuck out to me were Ghost Rider and Captain Marvel. They stuck out to me because, and I found this just really awesome because, well, I made a team comp video in this document, which you guys probably know about, and now see that I haven't edited it. So last edit was 7 days ago, okay? Now, if you look through these lists, I just want to point something out. Nico, Magic, and Ghost Rider on the left column. Nico, Ghost Rider. But then, oh look! Main hero teams, third one down on the left side column. Captain Marvel, Ghost Rider, and Nico. Now, I'm not saying that I know what I'm talking about, but I might know what I'm talking about. I'm just saying. So I just wanted to point that out. I thought that was awesome. It made me smile when they said that because I'm like, ha! Yes, we know what we're doing. So, with that said, let's kind of get started on the gameplay. Or yeah, we'll get started on the gameplay. So this doc, let me make that a little easier for you guys to read. There, it should be a bit better. So this doc basically, it's it's a breakdown of the deck that he took into the fight. So it's still a little small, isn't it? Ah, there we go. Yeah, that's better. So the deck that he brought in was Blade, Ghost Rider, and Captain America. Now, I've listed all the cards here. I won't bother getting into too much of what they do because this information is available on the wiki or through the gameplay of VOD itself again. But essentially, I've kind of broken down why he ran into a certain issue, and that is bricked hands. So, in my deck building video, which I'll have linked below, I go over the math behind building your deck and how to prevent getting a bricked hand. Now, yes, the game does have 2 redraws per turn where you can replace one card for another card, but the fact of the matter is, um, if your balance is off, then you're going to run into a problem. And Joe ran into this, I believe, twice for sure, and maybe even thrice, where he either had to end a turn because he didn't have enough heroism to play a heroic card. He couldn't do an environmental attack, but he still had a card play. And on heroic 3, if you're ending turns without all your card plays used up, you're actually just trolling. So that's like a deck building issue or a misuse of a redraw. So for Blade, he took Quick Strike, Reaper, Relentless, Make 'em Bleed, Hunger, Savage, Daywalker, Glaive. Basically, if we just sort of exclude mods, damage, Quick Strike is damage, Reaper is a lot of damage, consumes bleed, Relentless is a lot of damage, Make 'em Bleed is a bleed card, go figure. Hunger applies marked and sort of like it's a core utility card for Blade. It applies marked, it heals, um, things like that. It's a utility card. Savage, damage, Daywalker, damage, and Glaive, damage. Damage, 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 right? Ghost Rider, Lash, I believe was I want to say it was the knockback card. Hellmouth opens the drops. Immolate is the thing where it's a buff where his all of a sudden his attacks do sort of AoE damage, or it's when he gets kills AoE damage, something of that nature. Drain Soul is related to his passive. It's a form of healing because a lot of Ghost Rider's cards either discard or cause self-harm. Drain Soul is a good way to restore some of that health. Um, Judgment, good damaging option. Hell Rider, or Hell Ride rather, good damaging option. Penance Stare, great damaging option. And then Captain America, punch, punch, handshake, damage, damage, damage. There's some taunts in there and knockbacks as well. Dig In is an amazing card. It taunts all enemies that are targeting your ally, but we're going to talk about that card in just a minute. Tactician, a good sort of tanky support option. Spang is a lot of damage if he has that unit's aggro. And then Shield Bounce is, again, another taunt option. So the deck breakdown, and this is where this is sort of more important than the cards he took. I just quickly wanted to run through those, but you'll see them. So his 2 combat items that he chose to take into the fight were Nanite Edge and Anti-Material Charm. Nanite Edge is a card that essentially applies stacks of bleed, so the idea here was to synergize with Blade. I don't think this really ever actually paid off. And then Anti-Material Charm, Vulnerability to Object. He took this because there was the mission was to destroy 2 objects, and you know, he elected to take them just to make destroying them a bit faster. Again, didn't quite pay off, but this is the concept behind it, and in practice it makes a lot of sense. However, the part I wanted to talk about a little bit more was the breakdown. So attack cards, skill cards, heroic cards. So he took 9 attack cards, 6 skill cards, and 9 heroic cards in his base deck. Now, if you've watched my deck building video, you'll know what happens when you start to take too many heroic cards and too few skill cards, or you'll know the math behind what happens when you take too many of a certain card type. Now, for those who maybe forget, the idea is if you were to take about 8 or 9 heroic cards, there's about a 70% chance that you would draw 2 or more in your hand off the rip, which is not good because you don't have heroism to play it. But the bigger issue is, even though some of his heroic cards had exhaust, you have to get the heroism to use them in the first place, which oftentimes was not the case. And like the hero combos have exhaust, Glaive has exhaust. He does use the hero combo in one of the attempts of the mission, but the point is you're now making your deck size 26 rather than 24, and which isn't the biggest issue, but the bigger issue is you're adding 2 heroic cards. So 11 heroic cards to 6 skill cards. That's almost a 2-to-1 ratio. So you have to somehow find out how the heck am I going to generate all this heroism and spend it on all these heroic cards, because multiple of those cards were 4 heroic costs. The combos were 4, Penance Stare I believe is 4, and Glaive is also 4. So like that's a really expensive hand right there. So the issue became like, he ended up getting bricked hands because of this over cost, or these sorry, I should say these hero cards that were far too expensive for the situations. And then the fact that, in this composition, you don't really have a heroism generator or a support. In a perfect world, you would have replaced either Ghost Rider or Blade, but even so, if you took this comp, let's say you didn't change it, you would want to definitely spec Captain America out with less offensive attacks like Quick Punch, Punch, and Brooklyn, and slot in more skill cards for those extra, uh, 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 sorry, heroism generation, right? Or cut a little bit of damage off of your Rider and Blade and put in more heroism. But the key issue, like again, even if we keep the format of the decks, the key issue was, let me see here, one, two, three, was here on Ghost Rider. So four. So he took four heroic cards on Ghost Rider. These four here: Drain Soul, Judgment, Hellride, Penance. Drain Soul is sort of like a must-have in my opinion, and then Hellride and Penance Stare are also good, but Judgment could have been cut, um, or Hellride could have been cut, and yeah, so these are just some things. I think the deck was a big problem in terms of its card balance. Okay, so I just kind of wanted to address that right off the rip. Now, I might default back to that. So what we're gonna do now is I'll kind of just explain what we're looking at here, and then hopefully we can kind of break it down. I'm not going to pause like every single turn and go, what would I do? But instead, we'll look at what Joe does instead and kind of talk about, you know, what's the issue here? Why is this bad? And we're going to go through all three playthroughs. So, sit tight. I will timestamp it below if you want to just sort of jump to different things. And I'll try not to repeat myself, but because we're doing this sort of all in one go, I may end up doing so. But I know it's paused and the screen's a bit dim, but the reason why is I want to talk about sort of just all the characters and and or rather the enemies, excuse me, and what happens here. So the wolves right in the middle, these sort of purple ones, and you see they're black on the right side there. The reason why those ones are black is they're part of what I believe they were called Dark Legion. Um, those have a particular nasty ability to clone themselves and such, or duplicate themselves, like maybe is a more appropriate word. But the purple ones are regular doggos. Now the doggos are a bit interesting in that right off the rip, you can see they're howling, and so the dogs will always target the same person. This is really important if you consider um, Captain America's design. And you'll see later in the video, one of the I guess passives of the doggos is if you damage a doggo, all doggos target the person who dealt the damage last. So with that in mind, you would always want to end your turn. Like if you couldn't kill them, you'd want to end your turn with your tank damaging the dogs. Or not end your turn, but rather have your tank damage the dogs most recently. Now on the right side of your screen there, you'll see the rightmost enemy below the dog, they are essentially a codex from XCOM. They have some healing ability. They split and clone themselves and run around like idiots. Overall, really a real nuisance of a character and a big problem. They're a unit that you'd want to either burn all in one go or at the very least, like two hits and that's it. Like hit them once and then KO them again. Otherwise, they're going to keep breaking off and becoming other characters. And then at the very back, you sort of see that green and gray boulder looking thing. That is a shield created by, I think they're called a Guardian. He's right in front of the objective. We have to destroy those two sort of green canisters. Now, their abilities, from what I gather, are they do high damage, they are very tanky, they summon a shield, and they can also clone themselves. So, and all this is just pulled from the gameplay. I might be missing something here, I might be off, but take it for what it is. And then you'll see these little two cards sort of around the dogs, and then on the right side of your screen there. Those are going to be objective mission related cards that get added to our hand in a second here. I'm not sure why they're there on the screen, or if maybe it's you have to kill those units to get that card. I honestly forget. I guess we'll find out. And when those get added to the hand, we'll talk about those. But yeah, so that's what you're seeing on the screen right now. Now, eventually, a couple wrinkles will get thrown in, and it's the reason why this mission becomes so hard. is the reinforcement mechanic. So let's just kind of run through it. I'm going to have it just in the background on quiet, but so right off the rip, you know, the only thing that that camera is covering is a Hellhound, and then I think, am I covering anything? No, I don't think so. Um, so right off the rip, you see Quick Punch, Dig In, two heroic cards, Reaper, Tactician. Well, you already know right away that you're not going to want to use Reaper anytime soon. Why? Because you have no other blade cards in your hand, right? And so because of that, right away, literally right away, Reaper is a redraw. Just redraw that shit. Like absolutely no reason to have Reaper in hand right now. So that's a great redraw. It's quite literally the first thing I would do. And then Dig In is a taunt, but we know that all the wolves are targeting Cap right now, which is majority of units on the screen. And so as long as the Guardian, you know, if isn't going to do anything too scary, you wouldn't really need to use Dig In. Yeah, so right away, redraw Reaper. That's the very first thing that I would do here, without a doubt in my mind. And there we go. So pause right here. You can see Dark Legion is a means of um, it's a faction. Sorry, my headset died. I don't know why I did that. Dark Legion is a passive or a faction with a passive of splits into two copies after taking damage. And then the full force card, environmental attacks deal increased damage and cost one less heroism for 2 turns. So this is pretty good if we can get that card. Otherwise, yeah. Maybe let me turn this up just a hair. There we go. Okay, perfect. Oh, trying to pause on one of the wolves here. Let me go back just a second. There we go. So Elite Shadowhound, uh, when taunted, all other Shadowhounds will also be taunted. So there we go. And then immune to corrupted. I don't really know what that means, to be honest, but it is what it is. And then when he gets over to the Guardian, I'll pause it there as well. There we go. So Guardian, taking health damage will taunt this until, sorry, taking health damage will taunt this until end of turn. And then protecting, immune to knockback, and forced movement remove when this unit has no block. So whenever they summon the shield like that, you can't really CC them, or rather you can't movement related CC them. And then taking health damage will taunt, meaning that if you can deal health damage to them, it will automatically taunt them. So you can see the trend with this mission, right? We already know, we haven't even played a card yet. We already know the gimmick is, okay, whoever does the damage gets taunted. You can manipulate that in really clever ways by having like your tank take damage, or if you have a counter in your deck, just have, you know, the counter unit deal the damage to everybody at the end of the turn. Think so. For example, Wolverine would be amazing in this mission because he'd be able to do a chain attack, attack a wolf, attack a guardian, and then all of a sudden he has 90% of the aggro, and then use a counter, and boom, you have, you know, full taunt and then full counter, right? So that's just one quick thing to maybe consider. Yeah, so let's let it go. Those, like I said, those are the two mission objectives that we have to destroy. Oops, there we go. So my apologies. The unit right there at the bottom is the only unit that splits. It's not a Dark Legion thing. Dark Legion is the faction. My apologies. Um, So he starts by playing Quick Punch, which is a taunt and a quick. Quick meaning that if he gets the KO, he gets that card play refunded. The taunt part here is pretty irrelevant. You're playing it for the quick, which is definitely correct here. I like this. The Shadowhounds were already targeting Cap though, so I wouldn't have actually opened with that. I would have done maybe something else instead, but that's okay. He really only had, like I said, I would have redrew Reaper right away, right? Because like already, we're not going to use Drain Soul and we're not going to use Reaper. So he's using all his card plays on Cap at this moment, which is just not. It's not very efficient. You want to open and you want to hit as hard as possible right away, right? So now all he has left is these utility cards. Tactician is, oh, there you go. So it's gain block and give block to allies, draw two cards. So I like this play as it would give him draw two cards. However, the redraw on Reaper still would have been correct. And now he's using a card play that doesn't really accomplish anything in the grand scheme of things. So right there, he ends up drawing a heroic card and then a Brooklyn Handshake. He ends up playing Brooklyn Handshake if memory serves, but it's not strong enough. Like you really wanted to open with Blade here. Oh, he uses this the shove. That's right. That's right. So shove move can become shove if you upgrade it, and so he uses that on Blade to push the units closer to that canister, which he then explodes. This is a nice little combo. Um, and then he uses his heroism to environmental attack with Blade against the wolves. This makes total sense for sure, especially considering you don't have a Blade card. However, I still want to see the redraws on Hero Combo and Reaper. Um, so from this position, I would probably, again, redraws. Um, but let me see if we can see who the cloner is targeting. Oh, he uses another environmental attack. So already he's using up all his heroism, right? And this is a big problem because he uses his heroism on environmental attacks, but they're not really accomplishing anything. The biggest threats on our screen are the Guardian and the cloning unit, so long as Cap maintains Wolf aggro. If he maintains Wolf aggro, or if he doesn't maintain Wolf aggro, they are a problem. But the Guardian is your biggest threat, then the cloner. So using these environmental attacks on the trash mobs is not correct in this situation. Now so this is what adds a wrinkle to the challenge. So all of a sudden he gets Fallen Sabretooth added to the mix as a reinforcement. So now he's essentially doing a mini boss battle on top of all this. So what makes Sabretooth interesting is he has Permanent Frenzy. Now, hold on. So we have a Guardian right there, right, at the top of your screen. And then, ta-da. So what's really cool, I love this, that shadowy cloning unit is what does the cloning. So that's where I was mistaken. So it attacks the Guardian, which then clones the Guardian. Remember how I said the Guardian is the biggest threat and the cloner is the biggest threat. The cloner, this is why I said you have to kill it in 2 turns because if you damage it, it spawns itself. If you kill one, the other can clone its team. So you have to go boom, boom, done, done. If the cloner was never in the fight, already you'd be off to a way better start. Okay? That's what's going on here. Now there's 2 Guardians to deal with. I'm assuming the AI does this thematically just to protect it because line of sight, combat works line of sight in this game. So by the Guardian standing in the way of that unit or the objective, it forces you to actually deal with it in many situations. So I really like this AI design. I think it's kind of cool. We still have Reaper in our hand, which still needs to be redrawn, by the way. um, okay. Okay. So now we have another heroism card, and look at how much heroism we have. Oh yeah, 0. So already we are limited to 2 card plays in our hand right now. That's Brooklyn Handshake and Dig In. There we go. So Fallen Sabretooth, targeting unknown. This is really important because it's you don't know who to use Dig In against, but you can wager that if Sabretooth is targeting Cap, that's already one of 3 options gone. Then it's a 50-50 between whether or not he's targeting Blade or Ghost Rider. So you can play the odds and dig in against whoever the Guardian was attacking if it wasn't Cap, but it is. So yeah, I don't think dig in is correct here. Using redraws is correct here, but uh, you're gonna hear that trend a lot in this first mission. I believe he uses Brooklyn on the Wolf here, which again is not correct in my opinion. So the mistake Joe's making here is he's focusing on the easier to kill units rather than the threats. Now, if you've ever played XCOM, this is like the equivalent of focusing on the sectoids compared to the gunners at the beginning of the game, right? The sectoids are not the threat. The gunners are the threat, right? So now you're basically relegated to environmental attacks. You could use Drain Soul here, but I don't think it's correct. So there's one redraw, thank goodness, and we redraw into Punch. So Punch is a knockback and a taunt. This is a great card to use against a tankier foe, or if some units, if they're charging an ability and you CC them, it prevents their big damaging ability from happening. This is a great option for that. Now, I would not use this card against the, say, clones or the cloning unit. What is that called? I can't remember what it's called now. Yeah, I'm sure he'll mouse over it again, but I think the best way to deal with the cloning unit in this challenge, now I don't know if this works the way I think it does, but if you put bleed with blade on them and split them once, I'm assuming that they probably take bleed on the clone as well. So I think that's one smart way to deal with it. So Frenzy, oh yeah, Frenzy, Sabretooth, he'll take his turns on a timer, even during your turn, and this is something you have to keep in mind. Oh, pardon me. So he has two Guardians, right? One is targeting Ghost Rider, one is targeting Cap. They're not super threatening right now. Sabretooth is the problem, yes. However, this is one of the rare situations where I might actually be inclined to ignore the villain for now. And personally, I still, the unit that clones is the biggest threat on the board. And if you don't know why that is, or if you don't agree with me on that, then that's a conceptual issue that we'll definitely talk about in a later video. But trust me, the unit that's cloning everybody is the biggest threat on this board still, even with the supervillain on screen. I promise. Ah, so there's the redraw on I want to point this out. So for people who are wondering, maybe like why Reaper? Like why do you keep saying redraw Reaper? Um, I'm gonna read that ability for you really quick. Consumes all bleed on target to deal remaining bleed damage. So what that means is instead of bleed um, ticking its damage, it just deals it all in one go. On top of a little bit of base damage, 21, as you can see on the screen there. This card is irrelevant if he hasn't even been applying bleed with Blade in the first place, which is why I said ditch this card right now. And I said that on the first turn, and now we're on like turn 3 or something, and finally it gets redrawn. We have one card play left, by the way. So we draw a Retribution. Is my camera in the way of this card? No, it's not. Knockback, discard random card, gain 2 souls. This is actually a really good card because we don't really need Dig In right now. We don't need Hero Combo right now. And Drain Soul, we don't even have Soul Stacks, and that's what using Retribution is for. So I don't remember how much health the cloner had, but Retribution on the cloner could be a play here if it's low enough health. I don't remember. And yeah, Ghost Rider has 0 souls right now, so this is a big tempo play for sure. But I don't know if I'd use it on the supervillain. I know it's a lot of damage. I do. I know that. But I don't think that's correct. Now, in the situation where the cloner wasn't on the map, that was correct because now the Guardian is really low health. You dealt some damage to um, the those two units, and you took the protection off the objective, which just means you have to damage it once in order to actually deal damage to it. So, so Cap takes a ton of damage there from a debuff that he had, and now he's about to get smacked by everybody. Wounded is a big problem. So you take a lot of damage on a per turn basis. There's more doggo reinforcements. Here we go. There it is. Yep, there it is. Oh wait, no, those are Dark Legions. I'm sorry. It's not a faction. Those are Dark Legions. We're Don't mind me. So, now we have basically look at the screen, okay? Tell me, I'm gonna let you think about this for a second. The only thing that the camera is covering is heroes, by the way. Um, there are two Dark Legions on the screen, two Guardians on the screen, a Doggo on the screen. I think there's one more Doggo on the screen somewhere. Oh, there it is by Ghost Rider, and Sabretooth on the screen. What have we accomplished from the beginning, right? This is so important to think about. Think about the amount of damage that we've already taken. Think about the fact that essentially no unit is effectively dead yet. Think about the fact that we've used up some of our environmental attacks, which I don't know if environmental attacks respawn. I don't think so. We've already just used them up for effectively nothing. So there is no value off of any of the turns up till this point, and now our cap is almost dead. Our Ghost Rider is wounded, and yeah, our blade has no bleed stacks. Right, so this is so important. Now already, Sabretooth is low health, so at this point, I'd say yeah, let's probably finish him off because he does attack here in the following turn. So whatever you do here, you really, really need to try to kill Sabretooth this turn. Otherwise, he's going to kill Ghost Rider or Captain America. Now, Ghost Rider is going to die anyway because he's wounded, but yeah, spoilers. Now there's lifesteal on Drain Soul, so this is correct here. And this is the part that this is the decision that he makes. This is completely correct. Unfortunately, though, it doesn't kill. Uh, I like the redraw there as well. So, okay, remember what I was saying at the beginning? Hold on. Let me get that Drain Soul off the screen. If I can. Oh, whatever. So in his hand right now, he has Drain Soul, Hero Combo, Shield, Bounce, Savage. That's four heroic cards, and he has one heroism. Remember I was talking about bricking hands? He only has like one or two cards that he can play. And furthermore, two of them, right? Yeah, two of them are Ghost Rider cards, who is going to die as soon as he makes a play here. So this is what I was talking about. Like, it's so important to use your redraws. It's so important. Again, I genuinely think that this failed mission strictly comes from mistargeting. Like, Dark Legion should have been your focus, and not redrawing Reaper on turn one. It is just so detrimental here. This isn't even hindsight bias, by the way, because I do not remember every turn of these missions. This is just like, I don't know, my opinion, I guess. I might be wrong. I don't remember what he does here, but the only cards he can play are Break and Lash. So if he plays Lash though, Ghost Rider dies. So Sabretooth doesn't die, which is so sad. Um, so he draws the revive, but look, look at the hand. Heroism, 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 and then zero. Oh gosh. So he's using a shove action again. Yeah. Of course, now Blade is in a terrible position, but we don't have to talk about that. So now he has to redraw, and I would redraw Drain Soul here because of the fact that your Ghost Rider has no souls and he's down. So you redraw Drain Soul or Hero Combo. Nice. See? Hey, that's correct. Quick Punch, Taunt, Quick Draw card. So I guess you play this because you have nothing else to play. I guess. The Guardians are threatening, yes, but the fact that you can controllably taunt the Wolves and Guardians means that the Cloners, the Dark Legion, is your only focus this game. Just I want to reiterate that. Resin Ghost Rider here is not correct, in my opinion. That might be a hot take. That's why. Okay, so do you see the problem here? So, if in case you missed why that was bad, let's go back to the revive play. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-da-ba. So even though like he can play the res, it's not correct here. So number one, he only has one revive per mission. Okay. Number two, he revives with 50% health and it costs you 2 heroism. We already know. Now I don't know how to read the UI perfectly yet, but we already know that the Guardians are going to do some sort of action, right? And in this case, they do an AoE corruption. Ghost Rider spawns and immediately gets corrupted again. Watch this. And so, again, as the game dev or a player who's played the game before, he would know that the Guardians can do this, right? I didn't know this, but either way, I wouldn't res here, not knowing that information, in case of things like AoE damage, change of target, or like the Dark Legions, right? They could target Ghost Rider. Like, I don't want any of that to happen, so I'm not going to res him here, right? So that was also a big misplay because you've wasted your res now. There you go. Oh, I think it exploded off Captain America. I think that's what happened there. So Cap takes extra damage there because he was knocked back into that big environmental piece. There we go, another split. Yep, and again, I want to reiterate, where are we now that we weren't at the beginning? Now, in this case, I will say that the supervillain is dead, yes, but you've used your revive for it, and all your characters are low health. We still haven't killed the Guardian. Oh, there. Ah! Okay, wait, let's read this. Because this will clear up what happened to Ghost Rider. For the next one turn, this unit takes 60 damage at the end of the turn and spreads corrupted to nearby units. Oh, okay, yeah. So you definitely would have known that that was going to happen then. 100%. 100%. So it's like a plague or a miasma. Okay, hold on. I didn't see what he did there. So already, right? Look at this. Look. Can't play it. Break. Can't play it, can't play it, can't play it, only play. Use your redraws. I would redraw. I'd keep Hellride here because I want to try to Hellride the Doggos and the Guardians and the Clone in one fell swoop. I'd reposition Ghost Rider over. Hold on. I don't know why he's lingering over here. Can you guys see my cursor? No, I don't think so. See where that Guardian is perched up on the left, and then there's the protective unit. I want to position Ghost Rider over by them, and then shoot Hellride through both Guardians and the Doggos and the Dark Legion if it reaches. Otherwise, I want to reposition Ghost Rider to hit both of these Dark Legions on the center and right side of the screen right now because this cloning is becoming a big problem. That's what I would maybe try to do here. I'd see how that kind of plays out. Still use my redraws. Yeah, getting rid of the combo is amazing there. I would redraw Glaive. Because I'm intending on using Hellride, which is a cheaper card. But of course, he doesn't have the card plays to actually generate the heroism to play Hellride. It ditches Hellride. Okay. Ah! Not like this. Getting rid of Glaive was correct there. Because Glaive is too expensive. You don't get like you won't get to play Glaive for the rest of this mission. Whereas at least Hellride would do a lot more work. Because Glaive is a big circle, but Hellride is a big line. And Hellride also discards your hand. That was something else. I want to touch on that. So Hellride, damage each enemy in a line, discard your hand, and it's modded to draw a card. Playing Hellride allows you to ditch all these useless heroism cards and get a fresh batch. So playing Hellride was 100% correct from this situation. Also, if you like this style of content, there are other missions and stuff I can do uh, this sort of breakdown for if you find this interesting. So Relentless after shove is a really smart sort of heads up play. You use your shove to deal damage, and then Relentless does damage or extra damage if they were damaged. However, corruption is still an issue. Remember that. Wounded. Just watch. Just watch. He uses Hellmouth for no reason other than generating heroism, which isn't inherently incorrect. But I mean, Hellmouth in this deck is just bad. I don't think you run Hellmouth in any deck that doesn't have magic in it. Just saying. That's like my take. Oh, there you go. Break. If target is an object, deal more damage. Obviously, that card's really good, but not one that I would have kept in hand forever. Though he had plenty of other redraw targets for sure. Yeah. So he has no other play, no redraws. He only has one play. It's Hellmouth, so he's using his heroism again. I'm just gonna skip ahead here because yeah, that hole right there is from playing Hellmouth. In case it's unclear. There you go. Dark Legion does damage and heals. So now once again, yeah, it's a second KO, and then Blade dies pretty much right here. So yeah, I mean this mission's over, right? Let's just skip ahead. Okay. So based on everything I said, let's take that information and go through this one a little bit. So I'm not going to pause as much. So once again, to reset the stage, the Guardian and the Dark Legion are the biggest threats on the board. Okay. The Wolves are all targeting Captain America right now. Keep it that way. Guardian is targeting Ghost Rider. Now, you in some cases you might be inclined to keep it that way so that it pulls the Guardian away from the objective. But once again, murdering the Dark Legion right away. So big boy damage, split it. Big boy damage, kill one. Big boy damage, kill another. There's your 3 card plays. That's your first turn. That's what I would do. Ignore the Guardian, ignore the Wolves. Obviously, if you have quick cards or AoEs or taunt, like that will change the solution. But like one for one, hit the Legion, split the Legion, kill the Legion, kill the Legion. That's what you need to do here. But right off the rip, Reaper, again, we've already said this. Redraw Reaper like right now. Tactician, I'd be playing Tactician. Why? Well, I'll give you a second to think about it. Tactician, remember, is the card that gives Cap a ton of block and it draws a card. Why would you play Tactician here? Yes, it's because all the wolves are targeting him, and you want it to stay that way. So you know that he's going to get abused by all the doggos. So play Tactician, buff up your block, then tank it, literally. And then you generate that heroism right off the rip. It's 2 heroism. You don't need to use dig in this turn. Redraw Reaper. Quick punch if you needed to like take aggro back off of a doggo. Yeah. So redraw Reaper, see what you get. Play Tactician, see what you get. Drain Soul, redraw. If you don't get anything, you can play. That's what I would do. Oh, and Drain Soul again because you don't have soul stacks yet, so it's a useless card to open with. Play Tactician, redraw Reaper, redraw Drain Soul. Those three things I would guarantee do. Just saying. And yeah, you do get the cards after you kill a unit. That's interesting. I didn't catch that the first time. It's cool. All right, come on. Did he play anything yet? No, he didn't. Oops, sorry. Oh yeah, so his tactician draws two cards even, so even better. Play tactician first, obviously. Now you don't. Please don't dig in the Guardian. Tactician. Yes, tactician is correct here. And actually, playing tactician first is correct because you don't want to potentially like. I don't really know how redraw works. I don't know if it puts it to the bottom of the deck or just a different spot. But if it's a different spot, you wouldn't want to draw into Reaper, right? So it is correct to draw first, then use your redraws for sure, 100%. So in this situation, I would maybe keep the Drain Soul and dump the hero combo. Maybe. Although I guess you know that Sabretooth is coming, and you can actually hero combo the. No, yeah, I'd still redraw Drain Soul or Daywalker in this case. You want to save the hero combo because. Whoa, you ditched Dig In, bro? I don't know about that. That's not correct. And the reason why it's not correct is because you want to keep it for. That's just one of those cards you want to keep for when you need it, really. Especially since it generates heroism, if nothing else. You do not want to get rid of that. Hero combo. Yeah, I would use hero combo against the Dark Legion for sure. The Dark Legion. The Dark Legion. But it doesn't even kill because it's not bleeding. Because you didn't bleed the Dark Legion. Like we talked about this. Ah, the pain, the suffering. No! What a waste of a hero combo. Oh. And he splits, yeah. You definitely wanted to bleed them first before doing that. And then kill them with hero combo. So he has no redraw. Ah, see? So he has no redraws, no card plays, and no heroism, but three of his cards have heroism or cost heroism in hand. So this, like, right now, this isn't an issue, but it sets up a bigger issue later. Okay. And oh god. So he uses move to shove into this explosive, but Cap and Blade take so much damage. This is like, in no world is this correct. Well, that's not true, but it, this is not correct. Look at that. 84 block damage gone. No. I would have moved or shoved the Dark Legion if it killed. I don't know if it killed, but yeah, Cap's like dead already. Because he ditched all the block. If you kept your block, then the Wolves would have been fine. Alright, Sabretooth is back. There we go, another clone. Alright. So here we have two Dark Legions, three Wolves, three or four Wolves. Sabretooth is full, Guardians are both half health, which is good. So absolutely finishing off both Dark Legions here is priority. Now, how you do that? Well, there's a lot of different ways to do that. Number one, we could maybe consider getting heroism to draw a Daywalker. Number two, we can try to use Immolate to maybe frag both those guardians if we can get the Dark Legions. But I think any way you slice this, I would probably I would maybe dump Spang first. If Punch gets a kill on a Dark Legion, that might be correct too. I can't see their health pools. I don't know, but I'm not sure how to read the ticks of health yet either. I don't know how much is. I'll learn it eventually, but 150? So wait, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Each tick might be a 20? I don't know. I don't know. So he's targeting the wolves, and we've already established that this is a mistake, right? Like we did this last mission too, and yeah. Especially because Sabretooth has Frenzy. You can't be wasting your time on the wolves. The wolves should just be perma-taunted by Cap. Keep your block up on Cap. Kill the legions, then the guardians, then the villain. Well, no, I think guardian or villain you could maybe choose which you'd rather kill. I guess it depends on your composition. Um, he has two redraws. He has no heroism, so you dump Daywalker here, absolutely. Oh, okay. So reinforcements continue to come in for a few turns, right? So again, killing these wolves doesn't really matter. Um, yeah. Two redraws, no card plays. So absolutely, you redraw the break and the Daywalker here. Absolutely. Like, use your redraws since they refill anyway. Dump them. Get rid of them. I think Immolate and Drain Soul are correct here, since your Ghost Rider actually has stacks now. You want to keep his sort of big explosiveness. So dump the Daywalker, dump the break before you end your turn, please. Start with break though, and then see what you get, and then maybe redraw that redraw. But I would dump break and Daywalker. Does he just end his turn? He dumps Immolate? Bro. Oh look, another heroism card. Ah, Sag. So he's only gonna draw two cards here. Two or three. Which is a problem. So his team is dying. This mission's over, but I just want to make a point after this draw. Um, okay, there we go. Yeah, so he drew two cards, right? So the reason he drew two cards was because you always have six in your hand of either objective cards or deck cards. The revives do not count. So you can see there, Daywalker, Drain Soul, Break, Shield Bounce, and then Lash and Hellride. That's six, okay? So we already knew that he was going to draw two cards, and then he had uh, three heroic cards and a useless card in hand. So you needed to use that other redraw to kind of dig for a skill card, which recall, he only brought six of. So now he has all heroism cards and no heroism except for Lash. So if this doesn't really showcase like why bringing too many heroic cards is bad or why not using your redraws is bad, I don't know what will. I hope I've shed some light on that aspect. I'm not going to touch on it too much, but pay attention to it going forward in the rest of this video because I've definitely said it enough times and I don't need to harp on it really anymore. But always use your redraws. I'm telling you. If you can't like if you're like I is there any chance of me playing this card next turn? No, redraw. Don't sit on cards unless it's like a skill. Sit on skills because skills they're free to play or not free to play, but they're no cost. And if they're very niche and you only brought one, it might be worth sitting on. But even then, consider getting rid of them. Hellmouth. So the problem with Hellmouth here is he has no way to proc it. So he has to re-roll it there. Judgment is a great card to draw here, but unfortunately it doesn't matter. Actually, I'll just let this play out so you guys can see it. This specific card. So unfortunately, yeah, he doesn't kill anybody here. Why? Because there's not enough health for Ghost Rider to consume to make this worth anything. Yeah, and he splits again. So yeah, this mission's over. Let's go to the third one. One more time. Who are the biggest threats on the screen? What do you need to do? All right. Remember, we've already talked about this a few times. I want to show the whole hand, see if I can get the pause. Oh, it's just always going to cover like that? Okay, yeah. I don't want their faces on the screen. So after hearing everything I have to say, what do you do here? Okay. Now, the card that's being covered right now is Reaper. So you have Quick Punch, Reaper, Dig In, Tactician, Spang, Drain Soul. What is your turn one here? I'll give you a minute, maybe not a minute, but I'll let you think about it. Pause the video. If you're like, okay, Zedd, I see what you're saying. Here's what I would do. And then I'll tell you exactly what I would do. Okay. Step one, play Tactician. Remember, we play Tactician because it draws cards and it applies a ton of block. And remember, our intention is to tank all the wolf hits this turn. Okay. Number two, redraw Reaper. Okay. Redraw Reaper, see what you get. And then number three, or for sure, we don't need to use Dig In, but keep it because that card is incredible. By playing Tactician, we'll have enough damage for Spang. Spang deals 60 damage. Now, I believe the Dark Legions had, I think, 250 health. Spang will do about double damage if that unit is taunted. So you could play Spang on against the Dark Legion. I don't think that would be inherently incorrect, but I think it might be a misuse of heroism. Drain Soul as well, redraw, right? So we play Tactician for sure. We redraw Reaper for sure. We redraw Drain Soul for sure. Excuse me. That's one card play and two redraws. All that's left now, the rest is pretty flexible, and it's honestly going to depend on what we would redraw into, so I can't go much further into that. But Quick Punch is a quick card and a taunt. So what you could do if you wanted to use Quick Punch, Tactician, draw, redraw Reaper, redraw Drain Soul, play Quick Punch on the Dark Legion to split it, and then if Spang would kill, then use that. But again, I'm not 100% sure without double checking the health, but I think that that would be a reasonable play. I don't think it's a great play. And I think the damage that Cap does here is too little. I think we need to draw into some blade cards big time. Tactician, redraw Reaper, redraw Drain Soul. If you said those three things, you're learning. Play Tactician, redraw Reaper, redraw Drain Soul. In that order. Don't touch the doggos with anybody but Cap. Tank all the doggos, ignore the Guardian, kill this Dark Legion on this first turn. Or set it up so they both die next turn. If that's the best you can do. It's hard to say. Alright, come on. What did you do? So he plays tech. Okay. I don't even need to say it. You guys already know my opinion on that redraw. That was a huge mistake. You already know how I feel about that. Huge mistake. Okay, yeah, it's unfortunate. What was the second redraw? I missed it there. Reaper. Yeah, okay. Yeah, drawing into hero combo there kind of sucks. But if you played Tactician, you could have played Tactician dig in hero combo, I guess. All right. That was a fine play. That was what? Drain Soul? Yeah. It's fine, I guess. I don't know. To dig in, I wouldn't use here. Brooklyn Handshake is correct. Skip ahead a little bit here. He ends up using all his heroism. Let's just go. Remember, focusing the Dark Legions was correct. And ignoring the wolves. There's not only one way to play the missions, to be fair, but with the comp he has, the deck he has, and the situation, the Dark Legion focus is correct. That I just want to maybe reiterate that. So Punch and Retribution, great cards, great draws. Um, However, they're both attack cards, so there is no world where you can play hero combo this turn at all. It's not even an option. So definitely I'd redraw that. Uh, yeah. And you'd want to try to end your turn with Retribution. If you can. Yeah. And the reason why you want to end with Retribution is because it discards a random card. So you might as well discard it so you can draw another new one the next turn, right? Don't think of Ghost Rider's discard as a negative thing, by the way. Genuinely think of it as a positive. If you always end your turn with the discard cards, that's a good thing. So yeah, Retribution early, yeah, I don't know about that one. So Spang against the Guardian. I'm gonna be honest with you, like that's okay, especially if your objective is to just dump the Guardians. But you still have a Dark Legion alive. Like, okay, the Guardians hit pretty hard, right? As does Sabretooth, but the Dark Legions self-sustain and the ability to clone their allies. Like that's the issue. If it was just cloning themselves, they wouldn't really be the biggest threat. But because they can clone the Guardians, because they can clone, other units and heal themselves, it's like, oof. Yeah, so using all this heroism on environmental attacks is like it's okay. In that situation, it killed the Guardian, so that's good. Um, but this Dark Legion is full health, and from this position, okay, from this position, no moves, no items, no redraws, no card plays. It's it's not unreasonable to assume that you're in a good position. And he's going to draw 4 cards next turn, which is great because of the Retribution discard. However, yeah, I know the wolves deal like 60 damage apiece, and so cap tanking all of them at the beginning might sound like a bit of a silly move. But it's worth mentioning that it's okay to use your health as a resource in a game like this. This is an XCOM where it's like never get hit, right? This is going to be the kind of game where it's like, okay, manage your health, manage your resources, and if you have to use, you know, if you're not playing on ultimate difficulty, if you have to use your res on your tank, that's smart. Keep in mind, on ultimate difficulty, you don't get this revive. So like once Ian is dead, it's dead. Um, for the mission. But I think if you so like I said at the beginning of the video, I actually think he took way too many attack options on Cap. I think that's just completely incorrect, especially when you're bringing two DPS characters as your teammates. Um, it's just incorrect. So he needed more access to block, more access to taunt, and just general utility when you already have two DPS characters. I think bringing two tactician, if you had two copies, would have been smart, but it is what it is, right? So you have zero heroism. Excuse me. You have zero heroism, so you dump Glaive for sure, and you dump Daywalker. Keep in mind, we brought Blade on this mission. What have we actually used Blade for? Shoves. We literally haven't even used the character. Because he's too expensive for how this comp is built. And it's stare. Yeah, so now you have two 4 heroism cost cards, two dead cards for at least 2 turns. This is like a pseudo bricked hand, honestly. Does he play Hunger here? Can't remember. Relentless is a good card here because he did damage somebody. I can't remember who. Only one enemy has bleed, if any. Yeah, nobody had bleed. uh, yeah, it was not good. That was not a good play at all. Relentless would have been correct. And this is what I was saying. So after he plays Relentless, he's bricked. And he has 2 card plays left after Relentless. So th this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is why correct redraw and correct deck balance is so important, because even after using both redraws, he still is left with a complete hand of useless garbage. Just play the card, bruh. Let me make my point. Okay. Okay. Do they both split in that situation? I don't even know. Yeah, they do. Oh man. See now, if you had the heroism generation to use glaive, you could glaive at least 3 of those units down. Just saying. So he plays relentless, and now he has nothing. You could use full force, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So yeah, this is sort of a showcase on why proper redraw and deck balance is really important. The decisions that were made overall were fine, other than the redrawing on the tactician on I think it was the second attempt on the mission. That was like a huge int. Um, Other than that, the rest is fine. I just think the deck is the issue. Hellmouth does not fit in this deck at all. Blade is way too expensive for how little heroism generation you have, and clearly he's playing more with Ghost Rider than Blade, which is fine, but that means don't take Blade, right? Like, based off this performance, would you not agree with me that bringing either Magic or Doctor Strange would have been over Blade would have been far superior, right? So, yeah. He used a card play for the environmental freebie, but the point is he has nothing to play. Yeah, and the corruption has spread, so now his team is dead. Like, it is what it is. Yeah, yeah. And you've already seen this play out a couple times. 3 Guardians on the screen, 4 Legions on the screen, and a supervillain. Yeah, oh, and 2 Doggos. Yeah, no. You already know where this is going. No heroism, no heroism, no heroism, no heroism. Judgment. You definitely redraw. What? I mean, Judgment was a bad play, but like, redraw your heroism cards, my guy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oops. I don't hate the Retribution play, but Minister, they play this just for sake of showing the stream, and I get that, but you've already seen a couple cards where it's like consume half his health, consume half his health. And so the gameplay with Ghost Rider is do more damage, eat up all your health, and refill it with Drain Soul. Like that's the whole point. You have to build your team around Ghost Rider. You can't just fit him in. Um, and Drain Soul, when you have max souls, it does cost more heroism, but it also heals more and does more damage, things like that. So, yeah. I'll let this play out, but just know that the challenge is or the mission is a loss, and then I'll let it play in the background. But that's pretty much it for this video. Again, like it's so important to balance your decks correctly. It's important to use your redraws correctly and understand the value of like, okay, am I going to use this turn or next turn? Probably not. Probably should redraw, right? And then the decision to bring one or two or three of I was going to say unit, a card is a decision you have to make. And all these things matter, man. And I hope that this video does a good job of explaining it. I know it was a long one, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. This is day 64 of asking for early access for content purposes. Please and thanks. Joe, if you saw this, I hope that you don't take it too hard. Players will make so many more mistakes. Uh, this is like this is good gameplay. I think it was just a fundamental issue with deck building and character choice. I don't think it was necessarily a decision issue. Um, but yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts on this. Am I wrong? Am I right? Did I teach you anything? And I will see you guys in the next one.